It's our first frost of the morning. The first frost. Good morning, everybody. Wow. Beautiful morning this morning up here. We're a bit ramshackled because we're packing up. Got a solar charger. Finished the coffees. Have I finished my coffee? See, I haven't finished my second coffee for the morning. The first one was a bit cold. But look at this. So silent. It's absolutely beautiful. You can imagine why people would come up here, build a house and just get away from it all. There's nothing. No people. Almost not a sound. There's a little bit of sound in the distance, probably from some industry of some sort. There's a lake down there. So peaceful up here. This is one of the nicest mornings. It was frost on the ground this morning, and it was -1, but it didn't feel cold. Long shadows, the sun's starting to get up there. Beautiful. Absolutely, possibly one of my favourite mornings of the walk so far. In 5 weeks. This is my favourite morning, Michelle.
Yeah, it's been a good morning this morning. Sun's out. Though it's cold, it doesn't feel cold because we've got enough clothes.
Yeah.
And
got the walking poles, little me and mini me and big me.
There's no one around, so we can do what we like.
Go for a wee, get up, go for a wee. Don't have to dodge anyone.
Tent's dried.
Tent's dry. There's
Had good breakfast this morning. Oh, it's been good.
It's my favourite morning. What's the date today? So we don't even know what day it is. It's Friday, the 27th of something. And yeah, I do know that it's just started into autumn, the very beginning of autumn. So we're already down to -1. Oh, that's a little worrying. And I do know that at some point today, in the next half hour or so, we're going to be walking that way. And we're really only using the Ordnance Survey map and the GPS on the phone to work out where we've got to go. But we're good. We're definitely en route. Anyway, wishing us a great day, and wherever you are in the world, have a fantastic day too.
And can you trust that you won't blow away in the wind?
We didn't notice, but actually ahead of you, oh, it's way too far off to see, is the fourth bridge, the one that never always needs painting, or used to always need painting before they found the new paint. So you can see all the bridges, the new fourth bridge, the pillars in the centre, and Edinburgh Castle also is on the hill just ahead of us there. It's way off, you can't see it, but Edinburgh Castle, there's a lot of famous places, and just above Edinburgh Castle is Arthur's Seat. Well, we didn't know there was an Arthur's Seat here. There's certainly one in Melbourne.
And the red rock over there is Ayers Rock.
Where? Oh yeah. So there's like a red raised rock. It looks like Ayers Rock.
Ayers Rock.
Okay. So I've got my solar panel on the front. Some people call it Samurai, some Armadillo. One person thought I was bomb disposal. And we're off. Left our pitch for the night. Met a lovely couple that walked up the hill this morning. Scottish lad and a girl from Bristol. What were their names again, Michelle? Can you remember?
Gordon and Laura.
Gordon and Laura with their 2 young boys. They're just, apparently there's a holiday home just down here they're staying in. And they were just coming up here to walk over to the cairn. So that was nice to have a chat with them. The only people we're likely to meet up here, I would say, but it was nice to meet some people. And now we have to follow an undisclosed or an undetermined route. Luckily, there is a bit of a...
is 500 meters ahead of you.
500 meters ahead of us, so about half a kilometer to where I think there might be a path of some sort. If not, at least we rejoin some of this bushwhacking. Anyway, it's going to be a good day today. It's gorgeous. It was a good day yesterday and things are going well. Shouldn't say famous last words, eh? This morning, Michelle, the ducks.
Oh, the ducks. Well, the geese they said, didn't they? But I think
No, they were ducks. They weren't geese. There were ducks flying above the tent, but they were very close. Quick battery change stop. So yes, this morning there were, and last night there were a lot of ducks quacking, sort of off in the distance there, but it sounded like hundreds, maybe even thousands of them. This morning they were flying over our tent in formation. They're obviously heading south for the winter, and they were flying so low over the tent they probably didn't recognize it as a man-made structure, that I could hear them quacking as if they were on the ground next to us. But there were a tremendous noise. I didn't film it, it was very early in the morning, but it was quite interesting to hear. Went on for about half an hour or so of just endless ducks flying over us. I did have a glance out the tent and it wasn't that impressive. They were just sort of V formations, but I'm pretty sure one of them went really close to the tent because the quack was, one quack was so loud. There's a little plane above us now. Anyway, onwards. Now look here, this is a whole piece of wool, quite a big piece of wool. Some sheep has left for us. We could spin that into something, Michelle.
I could. I won't bother.
Won't bother. Nice big chunk of wool though. We used to keep sheep and we used to keep all the wool like that, but we never did spin it, did we?
No, we used it for wadding.
Wadding for toys. And so we're literally walking across, there's these occasional little, seem like pathways made by animals. But Michelle and I are just making our way across this moorland. Now, the moorland looks, and if this had been in the Highlands of Scotland, I wouldn't be walking quite so confidently because it would be boggy and wet. See, there's another little pathway just going up and through. I might follow this one for a few yards. Then I'm going to cut in across here because we're heading to that pylon over there, and there's a fence line. There's actually a fence line that marks, I think it's something the Drover's Way or the South. Do you remember the name, Michelle?
No.
There's there's a road or a pathway, an old.
The door is 120 meters ahead of you.
There's an old drover's pathway down there, which I think is possibly signposted. So it'd be nice to be back on a signed road. But we're getting there. I mean, it's hard across these heavy tussocks. Well, it's actually not so hard. We're getting fitter, aren't we, Michelle?
Yeah, it's easier down than it is up.
Coming up was quite hard. It was steeper the other side. This is what we were walking across on the other side yesterday, coming up the mountain. The mountain, it's probably just a hill.
It was a mountain.
See another little animal pathway where the sheep come through. I'm heading to that little post down there, Michelle. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think when you get to there, it might be signposted.
So it may be waymarked, yes. So this is brilliant. I love this. I mean, the heather is so deep that your boots sink into it. But this has been one of my favourite stops on the whole journey. We're 5 weeks, over 5 weeks, Michelle?
Just over 5.
Just over 5 weeks. See, there's another little path here. You could follow it down, but I think we're...
The door is 70 meters ahead of you.
I wish you'd shut up. 70 meters ahead.
Sign on that post.
So, we're just going to cut straight across this moorland, across this heather. Hope there's no little streams going to block our way. And then we're on... I'll check it on the OS maps for you in a minute and get the name of it. And we're on the Drover's Way. I'll just check the name. So I've just checked on my OS maps.
You're back on the tour. Navigation will now continue.
Wow. So we are back on the route that I'd planned. And this is the Cross Borders Drove Road. Does it actually say there? Conserving, protecting fields of the Pentlands. So we're on this little bridge, but this is the Cross Borders Drove Road. We've got so many walkways to go. There's another sign there, so we're on our walkway, Michelle.
Yay! 2 bridges and a stile.
2 bridges and a stile. This interesting little bridge with all its little hobnails kicked out of it. Another one just down there. That was Michelle picked that out. That was definitely the pylon we're heading to. And then we're crossing over those mountains ahead of us. But I'm well happy.
Yep, it's all good.
It's going well. Famous last words. Please don't go wrong. So unlike that, this is actually our path. And because it's our path, look what's ahead. Because it's our path, I can see bike treads in there. Cyclists are using it and muddying it up, which is a great shame because we've got to now step over a little streamlet. It was better when we were just making our own pathways and the bikes hadn't chewed it all up. So the Cross Borders Drove path, this would have been an old drover's path for taking cattle across the different borderways from Scotland to England or England to Scotland. Quite exciting. I'm not sure how long we'll be on this one for. I don't think many of the ways now, the Cross Borders Droving path and the Cuthbert Way, I don't think we're going to be doing all of those ways. We're doing a proportion of them. So kindly, there are quite a few of these way markers and these bridges. Unfortunately, bikes, hopefully not motorbikes, but mountain bikes and things are using the trail as well, and they are chewing up some of the trail and making it a bit boggy. But you know, we've all got to be able to use it. So I'm not going to grumble about the bikes. I'd like to ride my bike in an area like this, so you can't complain really. It's well marked though, very well marked, isn't it?
Yeah. Very good.
If you were coming from John O'Groats, you would have walked along to one of these way markers beyond the pylon here and then gone up that hill.
If you were coming from Land's End.
Sorry, if you were coming from Land's End. And I think recently has been added that wind turbine there. I don't know if that was there on the original route. I'm not even sure if that's on the OS maps at the moment. Remind me, I've got to do timers every day, so we remember to stop and eat every couple of hours. So we're heading off the moorland now down to this road. What was it, an
A70, I think, something like that.
A70, and then we're only going to walk along it a handful of meters and rejoin the way on the opposite side and over the mountains. So on my map actually, it shows straight over into this car park, so barely any walking on the road at all. We've just got to get ourselves over this stile. My hand coming down, hun? It's quite a big jump, that. It jars your back a bit, so be careful. Yeah, that's the way. See, I had the camera. It's you guys causing me if I hurt my back. Through that gate, or?
I think it's that way because there's a little bit of along the road, and that's not along the road, is it?
No, except for this is West Linton.
In 15 metres turn right onto hiking path.
West Linton by the Coldstone Slap, 7.5 miles.
The Thieves Road. This is definitely it. It's the Thieves Road. I love their name. Can you see it there? The Thieves Road. And there's a cattle head. It's very old. So I'm going to go through here, Michelle. I think this will join us up. It's possibly a new way. These gates look quite new. Yes, the cross borders Drovers Road. That's what we're looking for.
We want follow the cow
Towards West Linton on the Thieves Road. So there would have been time when they were droving the cattle down across the borders. There would have been bandits to steal your cattle off of you, or rustlers, as Michelle said, but thieves basically. So this became known as the Thieves Road. Fascinating, isn't it? Yes, and this is the way we would have come in the car park and round. They've local distancing. Missing cat. Somebody, Stevie the cat, has been lost. Oh, that's sad. So down this beautiful old dry stone wall, and there are sheep. We could rustle a jolly jumbuck and stick it in our tucker bag. Once a jolly swagman can buy a billabong, following the Colston Slapdrove Road. Robbers and reavers. So this is a heritage path. It's a very nice pathway, and we're sharing the field with sheep, and it's got a lot of history. I love a path that's got a lot of history, and it's well maintained, though it's fairly I wouldn't say overused. It's got these lovely little bridges across the streams. So this is going to be a doddle, Michelle. It's one of our
going uphill.
one of our easier routes. How cool. Wow, this is so much different to the Highlands, where every walkway was just basically neglected. Wow, how cool. I was going to say about bikes, but I couldn't see any bike tracks there, so maybe it's not bikes, it's probably just a lot of people walking it. But it is quite muddy in parts, but it's no big deal. It's just that quite often the pathway deviates away because of there are bike tyres going through. So bike tyres, I'm going to say another bike tyre there. It is probably the bikes that are doing the damage, spoiling it a little bit, because this is still almost the end of the summer, beginning of the autumn. By the winter time, the bikes will churn this completely up. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let me know.
This is the Friends of Pentland path.
Friends of Pentland. I think Pentland is the farmland. Please close the gate. I think Pentland is the borough council. Whoops. That would be a nice stream to get water from, but we don't need any. I think we're sharing with cows today. It's funny how one farmer will tell you you mustn't go through his field because the cows will attack you, and another farmer will open his land up. So that couple with the dog, lovely little family, but they said they're going back because they're wary of the cows with calves. And I said to her, yeah, I shouldn't be too wary of them. But I suppose with the dog, they've always got to be cautious. But cows with calves, like I say, unless you're going up trying to prod the calf, the cow's just going to back away from you. If cows with calves were so dangerous, farmers could never farm. So it's like a confidence thing. Now, meant to film this, we've just crossed where these cows are. These are cows with calves, and rather than the little brown one there, rather than cut through the middle between the calf and the mums, it's always advisable not to sort of get between a calf and a cow, so then the calf won't panic and the cow won't sort of charge you. Having said that, Mum's come over to say hello. Hello. Hello, gorgeous. 2 mums, 2 calves. Don't get between the calves and the mum. So she's going to make that hard for us, because Michelle and I are going to actually have a stop here. We might even do a live stream. So if you watch the live streams, we're about to say hello. We just went off the path a tiny bit. Nothing too spectacular. So, I don't know, a few 100 meters. And there must be some maintenance work going on up ahead here. Some sacks of gravel being delivered. Whether they're doing that now or they were doing it, no, by the looks of it, they were doing it a long time back. Still, I'd say it's a well maintained track. Generally, as I say, there's a few boggy areas. Because we're walking this route in sandals, albeit hiking sandals, a lot of people walk them in Wellington boots and waterproof hiking shoes. They probably would just splash on through the boggy bits. But we're a little more wary, because once your feet get wet, they do dry quickly, but it's nicer if you can just keep them dry all day. That's the only thing we found walking so far, and we've done a third of John O'Groats to Land's End now, is we've been able to keep our feet in good condition most of the way. If it gets a lot wetter, there's a chance we might have to change out, but we're not afraid of getting our feet a little bit wet. And to have got this far with minimal, almost no blisters at all. And Michelle's got a couple of little rubs on her toes, but that's because they're new shoes that we bought in Glasgow. They're identical to our old ones, but they're just bedding in, so she's getting a small amount of rubbing, which is to be expected. I have to say, these walkways, this cross-border drove walkway is so well maintained. They've really put a lot of effort into looking after this pathway. I'm very impressed. So a big thank you to the Penrose or Penrith County Council. Normally most of the councils along this route I grumble because they do such a bad job of maintaining the walk, like the Great Glen Way, which was pretty appalling. But here they've gone out of their way to make it as friendly as possible for hikers, which for us long hikers is a real blessing. What a good job. Look at this. What a good job. Shower's motoring ahead of me because I keep stopping to film things. I think we're going over that at some point, or maybe we'll go over the middle. Well, let's hope we go over the middle. Oh, there's some real tough sections of walking along here now, and this light green stuff is soaking. You can step on this heather, is always quite good. Keep your feet dry. But yeah, the last quite a long section has been just hard work. Now here is where a lot of people walk up to West Cairn, and the writer of the book we were reading says it's a lovely place for a lookout. Yeah, we've seen lots of lovely lookouts, so we don't need that one. We're quite happy to mosey on to West Linton. everywhere's a lovely lookout, right? It's not going to be a lot different from up there, or it certainly won't be as beautiful as last night's camping spot, that's for sure. I think at least I'm going to write a book about this walk, because the ones that are out there at the moment I think are done for people with a knapsack and a bottle of Coke and a sandwich maybe, and they really don't take into account the long distance hikers with big bags, and maybe people that aren't of a certain age, you know, 25 to 35. In that instance, these books are a little bit of a laugh, because the distances don't add up, and the descriptions of the ways, sort of saying, you know, oh, it's a short walk from the road to West Linton. From the road to West Linton is almost a leg in itself, if you're carrying all your gear and you're not 35 and you haven't just got a knapsack, a sandwich and a bottle of Fanta. So the book is unrealistic, or the books are generally unrealistic. I think up to the right there on the highland, Michelle, you see, this is a relatively dry summer that we've had. The weather hasn't been too bad, and this is almost unnavigable unless you've got no weight on your back and you're as nimble as a mountain goat. What do you think, Michelle, of the expectations of the book?
Oh, I think that, yeah, it's as you say, I think it's for a young person not carrying a pack, and probably not even doing it in a full one stint. They maybe did once upon a time, but I don't think they have now.
Yeah, I think the guy that constantly I forget his name, but updates the book, he ought to try walking this with a you know, a 20-kilo bag on his back, and possibly, you know, maybe he's one of these thin, wiry guys that bound along like a gazelle. But the expectations of the daily walks, a lot of people do this of a certain age, you know, getting up to your sort of 40s and 50s, 60s even, we've seen people. And I think it needs a more realistic expectation of what the walk is.
Say it's boggy. If it's boggy, say it's boggy.
It's boggy. It's boggy as hell. September, it's boggy, and you'd be better off in Wellington boots and a snorkel than just sort of pretend it's a short jolly. And why don't you walk up to this mountain for a view? No, nobody wants to carry a great big pack and all their gear up the mountain for a view when the months are running out and you're walking through this sort of quagmire. We're still enjoying it. I just don't like to reference the book at all, even though I just bought it the other day, because it just annoys me. First signpost in a long way. Wow. Michelle and I thought this was a 6-mile walk. What's it say, Michelle?
5 miles.
How many?
5.
And this says 5 miles. It must have been 6.
The road has been from. So 7.5, it was, as I said.
No, not possible. They're messing up. It's not possible. The walk we've done today is not 2 miles. That's not possible. This is a harder walk than we expected, and this is just part of my trail. We've broken it up into 2 from what was the town at the top? Linlithgow to West Linton. Oh, it's at least a 2-day walk. They reckon you can do it in a day, but you'd have to be like a whippet, and you'd have to be carrying next to nothing, because this trail is a trail that just keeps giving. It never stops. Pretty much like every trail we've been on, to be honest. But phew. Yeah, this is not a one day. And the average person, certainly with a backpack like this, could not walk from Linlithgow to West Linton in a day. I'm sorry, it's not possible.
Even if the paths were like this.
Yeah, even if the path were like this, if you weren't negotiating what they call it, moorland, if you weren't negotiating moorland with no pathways and bogland, it's too far for a day's walk. So even if you're doing John O'Groats, Land End, John O'Groats, split this one up. Unless you're super fit and you're carrying very little, which is what I suspect the book writer was doing. The one thing I wanted to note is when the pathway is very rocky like this, it means it's quite often very rocky when you get to grass areas as well. Now I almost twisted my ankle again, and what happens is you'll get to areas maybe down through there, you might cut through, and it looks like you're walking on deep grass. But of course, underneath, remember this, when you're in a bouldery area and you walk across grass like this, you can very easily twist your ankle because you can step on the top of a stone or a boulder. So I think it's quite important. That's the second time that's happened to me in this section, where you think you're walking comfortably across grass and suddenly it sort of gives way to the right of your foot or the back of your foot. So be careful. Just as I turn the camera off, you can see there's a good example. If that tuft had grown across from this tuft and you'd gone to stand there, your ankle will twist. There's many more examples. So tread warily, and again, it's where the stickers coming in useful sometimes. Young guy on the bike just went by, told us we're pretty much at the top of the hill there, and yeah, bikes churning up all the dirt and mud.
He said the path gets better. This is the end of the bad path.
He said this is the last of the bad section between here and West Linton. It gets better once we get over this hill. So that's good, eh? That's good.
That's good. And he did say it's not far now, but he does appreciate he's on a bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
The black-faced sheep are the hardy sheep that can survive out here, apparently.
The black-faced ones, yeah. Lovely sheep. Hello there. Hello, you handsome thing. So I had to catch that on my phone camera. The guy in the duck who stuck his finger up like this through the window as soon as I turned the camera on. I mean, if somebody's driving down a trail like this in an amphibious vehicle, you're going to film it. It's a public right of way. But he got really angry and narky. It was the lady that was with him pulled his hand down. But I suspect maybe he's not meant to come down here on that. And he's churned the road up. I mean, he's made a real... It's vehicles like that have completely destroyed this cross-border droves road. So if he's not meant to be on here, I'm glad I caught him, because I wouldn't mind reporting idiots like that, because it was just a nasty piece of work. Just when we thought it was safe, look what's coming. Yeah.
Excuse me, can you delete that? You didn't ask permission for me to photograph me. Can you delete that?
Why?
Because it's offensive.
Well, you putting your finger up at me is a bit offensive, you moron. Look at this fella coming along here, and he's putting his finger up at me.
I just thought it was cool.
See, if it wasn't for idiots like the guy in the duck that just went by and was shouting at me, I mean, right up the road, he was sticking his finger up at us just for filming, digging up all these roads like this. If it wasn't for those sort of idiots, these paths would be easier to use. What on earth is he doing on a well-established walking way in an off-road all-terrain vehicle? I just thought it was funny to film him because it was an unusual vehicle, chewing up the path so that other people can't use it, so that he can use it. Look at all the dirty oil that he's spilled as well. Horrible man. So what was one of our nicest enjoyable days, just a little bit spoiled. We're not going to let it spoil the day for us, but by very strange behaviour of a very privileged and entitled gentleman, who I think, and I suspect, is driving on roads that he shouldn't be on. Now, if he's allowed on these roads, that also in itself is a problem, because it's vehicles as heavy and with tracks that big, you could see all the way down here, were churning up the road and making it almost impossible for hikers, who this road was intended for, to use. Tweed trails, heritage pathways of the Scott Way. No, it's a pheasant, I think. I saw it two of them a little earlier. I don't know what to say about that guy. He's really annoyed me. I said to Michelle, I hope he's someone famous, because I've already posted it up on Instagram and Facebook. I hope he's someone famous who we can ridicule for being such an arrogant pig. Whether this is the end of the border drove, I don't think it can be. I think we've got more to do. But I noticed there's midges here again, Michelle.
Yeah, most of that has come down.
And everyone was saying the midges had finished, but they have not. Camera turned on too slow. I'm going to catch this lovely old lady. Beautiful. West Linton. She thinks the co-op might be open. Now, it'd be handy if it is on a Sunday. We can get some provisions. So even coming off the Drovers Trail, we still got at least 3 miles. So that can be an hour and a half walking before we get to West Linton. And it's all on sort of tarmac roads. For us, this was a pit stop town, but we realised it's actually Sunday, and there's every chance that nothing will be open, which is okay. We've got enough food, but we're sort of motoring a little bit along because we'd like to have the opportunity to shop if we can, and it's getting late in the day, probably close to 5 o'clock. Maybe a small co-op might be open till 6 if we're lucky. Hello. Nah. Hello. All black, hey? Apart from you, little brown one. Whole herd of black goats of sorts.
Sheep, aren't they?
Sheep, yeah, sorry. Sorry, Michelle's right, they are sheep. They've just all got horns. One's pregnant. What variety are they, do you think? Anyone have an idea? I don't think I've seen a whole flock of black sheep before.
Yeah, it's usually just one, isn't it?
It's usually one black sheep, but look at this.
A white one.
One white sheep in amongst the black sheep. Hello, you handsome things. They got Tamworth pigs over there, which is kind of cool. So they've got the black sheep, and I'm pretty sure they're Tamworths in the field. Looks like the co-op is open because that fella had a bag with some shopping in. What a pretty little town. Got some giraffes over there for some reason. The co-op
Yeah, just down there.
down this way, yeah?
Yeah, and then bear right.
Thank you. And here we are. Good day. All right.
Your destination is on the left.
That'll do us for now. This is a really pretty little town. That's St Andrew's Old Church. There's the old tea house. Very pretty town. Lovely open areas for kids. Very lucky to live in a town like this. Got a lot of history, a lot of character to it. Anyway, we've got to go one of these ways. I'm not sure which. They are geese. Different. That's what we've been seeing for the last, even ahead of us, look, I don't know if you can tell with this little camera, there are hundreds and hundreds of geese heading south for the winter to sunnier climes. If only Michelle and I could fly that fast. This is such a pretty little part of Scotland. Lovely little gatehouse there. So many really attractive houses. And sadly, Michelle and I are fighting sunset again. We've got to find a place to wild camp tonight before the sun goes down. We've managed to wild camp every single night. So here is, she's stuck. I think that sheep might be stuck. And I know the sound of a distressed sheep. Now there's some hikers over there. I don't want to draw too much attention. But that sheep over there has been bearing for quite some time. And that to me is a sheep in distress. So it's time to go and see if we can't help her. Okay, keep it quiet. Shh. She's got her head stuck. Oh, poor little thing. She has got her head stuck in the wire. Shh. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. Come boy, come boy, come boy. Shh, 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 shh. Come here. Come here. Come here. Let's see what you've done. No, stay, stay, stay. You've got to come here, come here. Shh. No, no. Shh, 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 shh. Bring your head down. Bring your head down. Bring your head down. There you go. There you go. Oh, good girl. There she goes. She put her head through here, look. She's been stuck there. You okay? She's been stuck there for a while. Poor little thing. Reminds me of our sheep. You know when they're in distress. It was just too constant, you know. And the other sheep were also sort of around us, giving her support at one time. But yes, I'm a hero. Saved the little sheep. I'm sure the farmer would have done it in the morning, but fancy her being stuck all night with her head between those wires. Hopefully she'll learn from that, Michelle.
Do you think sheep will learn from that?
No, probably not.
We know sheep.
We know sheep pretty well. Poor little thing. I was quiet, so she didn't fret too much.
Right like that.
Yeah. Is it just because they're young ones now, or?
Yeah, it's just the perfect size to get their head through. They get a bit greedy and think they can get a bit more grass. And
Yeah. That used to happen with ours as well. We used to get them occasionally, but the heads in a watering can.